All right, well, I think we're ready to go here. So first,
Give the call when Lori done that for the public hearing.
Mike Lyon today.
today's Mike Lyon, yeah.
Oh, it's not. That
I'm
was
just
you.
observing
Oh, okay.
next time.
All right. I would make sure.
The red one.
Just really looking forward to slipping and calling you Lori.
I'll answer after.
All right, it's noon, and so I'd like to call the Warren County public hearing to order. So first item on the agenda in the public hearing, which Michael is here to share with us, is 2 text amendments to 2 ordinances.
Okay,
Do you mind
I do that.
giving us a summary?
So the first one is actually quick and easy. It's a proposed ordinance 260. It's a text amendment to the Warren County zoning ordinance. This has been reviewed and is recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. It's been advertised in the Warren Times Observer per the legal requirements. So what we're doing with this text amendment is we're clarifying what setback means. And setback is the distances that are required for meeting zoning requirements. That really confuses everybody, so we actually created the definition for setback that we're putting in the ordinance. We are also asking to add the word duplex to clarify the difference between 2 single-family homes and 2 family dwellings. The other thing that we're asking to do is in the R1 and the R2 residential district, the village district, and the business transitional district, is add as a permitted use 2 single-family homes, providing that the parcel is at least 1.5 acres. We're doing that to expand some housing options, and it is similar to what's currently allowable in the ACR district. All the same setbacks will still apply. So that is the quick and dirty version of the proposed ordinance 260.
Okay. Is there anybody who is relying on the changes to the ordinance to develop any houses in the county, or no, it's just one of those?
There is not. This is just something that we're trying to just come, I guess, preemptive.
Okay, great, thank you. And then text amendment to ordinance 261.
Okay,
It's everything to do with solar energy.
this one is a little bit more involved. So proposed ordinance 261 is creating section 613 of, it'll be called solar development to the Warren County subdivision and land development ordinance, otherwise known as the SALDO. This one is a little different from ordinance 260, as this will be applicable to the entire county, just not the zone municipalities. This also was reviewed and is recommended for approval by the Warren County Planning Commission. Also was advertised per legal requirements in the Warren Times Observer. This is being created preemptively due to inquiries we've had. I have to use my cliff notes for this one because it's pretty long. We've had inquiries from developers about what our requirements were for solar farms, and there are a few projects that are actually currently in the process. Development of commercial solar farms is a very lengthy process. It can take several years. So there's an organization called PJM, it's Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland, that controls the power grid for our part of Pennsylvania. So there are at least 2 projects, at least were the last time I checked, that are in process of being developed. Unfortunately, they come to the local authorities towards the end of the process. So this was developed through very lengthy research. We did this in cooperation with some other municipalities that are either in the same process that we are, or that they've already developed a solar ordinance. So we also used resources from Penn State through educational webinars, and they did a cursory review of our proposed ordinance. This ordinance was also reviewed by the county solicitor, Mr. Schmidt, who is not here today. One thing I need to point out that this ordinance is primarily for commercial development. It's not going to cover the roof-mounted residential things, so those are still not part of this. So there's parameters in this ordinance that are to protect adjacent landowners from glare and noise that are produced by solar ordinances, or solar farms, excuse me. It was enlightening just to us as a research to find out that they actually do generate noise. It's not horrible, but there is that hum of electricity. There are also parameters that are built into this to protect the county's agricultural areas, forest lands, and environmentally sensitive areas. Current industry standards were a factor in creating the ordinance, along with regulations for the eventual decommissioning of the farms. The decommissioning actually, from my perspective, is the most impactful part of this to protect the landowners and the county from the eventual abandonment of when they stop producing or become no longer viable. And in some cases, the development owners are required to provide a financial security in favor of the county, either by bond or some other sort of method to protect and cover the eventual decommissioning of the solar farm in the area that it occupies. So Ordinance 261, Section 6113 are going to cover two types of development. The first is what's called accessory solar energy systems. They are typically smaller. They're on-site. These are typically like the organization that maybe wants to have an impact on their carbon footprint. So they're limited in size to 600 square feet or producing no more than 10 kilowatts of power. The other is the one that people are more familiar with. These are the principal solar energy systems. These are all the solar farms that are in the news covering hundreds of acres and cutting down forest land to produce electricity. They typically are not for individual use. They're selling the power back into the grid. And they are often on leased land with leases that can span 20 to 25 plus years. And they typically cover anywhere from 50 to several hundred acres. And again, in the quick and dirty version, that's the Section 163, solar development.
And for public comment.
Any public comment? Okay. Thank you very much. No public comment. We'll
The
make
file is available for review if you want some.
And without Ordinance 261, somebody can develop solar without any limitations, correct?
That's correct. They can still be limited by any regulations put forth by the Commonwealth,
Okay,
but from a county perspective, we couldn't really restrict it.
okay.
And part of the thing that I neglected, it regulates, and this is something I actually just learned through this, like in the county we have different classes of agricultural soil. Commissioner Catherine, being a farmer, might know some of that, but it specifies how much of those prime agricultural property can be used. So it
Okay.
limits from just occupying everything.
Okay. All right, well then, with nothing more to come before us, we will adjourn the public hearing, and we will then move on to the commissioners' meeting. So, first is a call to order. If everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Silence. Very good. So under announcements, just want to announce that the meeting will be recorded. We have had no executive sessions. We had one informational session in which a number of representation from municipalities were talking about the services, ambulance services in their areas. And then the last announcement that we have is the Citation of Excellence. So we do not have any representation here.
Ken's in my office. We could do that at the end, I'll get
Let's move that on the agenda then, put that towards the end of the meeting. All right, is there any public comment? Okay, there being none, we're gonna take a look at the consent agenda next, which consists of the minutes of the August 31st public meeting. Were there any changes, modifications, edits to that? Okay, the next item then is a finance report. So will you illuminate?
Yes, we have $2,986,653 in our bank account as of yesterday. Tax revenue is beginning to roll in, and we are hardcore working on budget.
Okay, all right. So we are seeing some improvement in cash flows from the tax revenue. Good. It's me. Please, I'm very pleased. Human
I think it's
resources.
about time to pay off the dam.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Do that.
We have a lot of changes here in the human service resources.
I can read them, or I'll pick up your report.
Yeah.
I think we can look at our report. I guess if there are any questions from the other commissioners on any of the changes there. Okay, very good. So we are on to proclamations. The first proclamation is National Bullying Prevention Month. Jeff, would you consider reviewing that and sharing the summary with us?
National Bullying Prevention Month is, one of the annual proclamations that we do related to addressing bullying, which is a physical, verbal, sexual, or emotional, creates emotional harm or intimidation intentionally directed at a person or group of people. Bullying occurs in neighborhoods, playgrounds, schools, through technology such as internet and cell phone. And there are various researchers have concluded that bullying is the most common form of violence affecting millions of American children and adolescents annually. The goal with passing the proclamation is to build awareness for the issue of bullying and trying to address it. The human services agencies working to kind of do some events and different things associated with it. So with this, October will be Bullying Prevention Month in Warren County.
Thank you. And then we have another proclamation, which is honoring 4-H members and volunteers. Mr. Kaplan, would you be willing to share that one with us?
Happily. As you are probably well aware, every county has a land grant university associated with it that the county has to support, and we are happy to support our Penn State Extension program and the work that they do through 4-H. They have, I think, some 50 volunteers and over 300 students that are in various programs ranging from dairy clubs to, I don't know if they still have the ones that I went through, but like riflery and bow and arrow and that kind of thing too. So that's a sizable amount of Warren County youth, and just seeing the leaders that they've turned out over the years has been impressive. And so every year they have a commendation ceremony, and so we started a few years ago passing a proclamation in recognition of everyone that was participating in some way in 4-H. So that's what I'm requesting that we do.
Thank you. And then the last proclamation is October of 2022 is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. The commissioners recognize National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we want to raise awareness about disability employment issues and celebrate many and varied contributions of people with disabilities. Activities during this month will reinforce the value and talent of people with disabilities, add to our workplaces, and affirm Warren County's commitment to an inclusive community. Doing so, we call upon employers, schools, and other community organizations in Warren County to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities, and to advance its important message that people with disabilities are equal to the task throughout the year. Adopt that as well this 14th day of September.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, do I have a
Second.
second? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Seeing that we have Mr. McCorson here, we're going to circle back to the Citation of Excellence.
Zach's either sleeping or working, so.
He's been working a lot lately.
He's been working a lot.
Perhaps we could give it to him personally
Sure, but I think,
after hours.
why don't you at least give just a 10-second why we're giving him a citation of excellence?
Sure, so one of our telecommunicators, Zach Raines, handled an incident at an establishment called Cougar Bob's in Forest County where a person was having a life-threatening emergency. And we received feedback from the fire department on scene that the fact that he stayed on the phone, was able to give life-saving advice to the caller who was actually an EMT, keep her calm and talk her through that situation. They felt that if he didn't do that, that this gentleman would have perished. And they felt that he saved a life, and that's why I brought it to the commissioners to try and recognize him for his outstanding work.
I think it was a great suggestion, and we always want to celebrate employees that go above and beyond their job to assist, even though we think it is their job. But this is wonderful, so yeah. Provide that. Thank you very much for coming and explaining, and look forward to congratulating Zach and what he's done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I don't see any old business before us. The next is new business. The first one is a repository tax bid. So we have here three actually. The first is for 0.89 acres in the amount of $250. Tax parcel TD 239-912Q. The second is 0.89 acres, tax parcel number W9-977-2555 for $897. And then lastly, tax parcel number SH-359-1976 for $1,109.69. We've received a request from the Director of Tax Claim Bureau to accept these proposals. Are there any other comments, or would someone like to make a motion to accept these three proposals that are before us to sell the parcels?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. And then lastly, we heard in the prior meeting about the approval of text amendments to both Ordinance 260 and 261. Can I get a motion from somebody to approve those?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, all right, any discussion on those? Say our, to them. All right, all those who are in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, are there any commissioner comments today? None? Okay. All right, how about a motion for adjournment? Commissioner
Second, I
Chamberlain?
have one quick,
Second, please, yes,
just
stop.
talk for like another 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
The reason being that I don't think the parcel number on that last parcel is correct, so
Ah,
checking, yeah. Just let the meeting minutes reflect that I believe that number is not supposed to be a Q at the end, but it's 0.
okay. So tax parcel number 1, the item needs modified to eliminate, change it from a Q to a 0. So that won't change our position at all, so that's good. Okay. Now I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Jeff, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I don't think we need any discussion.